Welcome to Deep Dive Film School. I am Adam Sherlock.
And I'm Adam Pulcher.
If you like what you see /hear, please like and subscribe. You can find us all the spaces and places that people what?
Find good media, that's right. You can check us out on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. You can also follow me on Letterboxd.
At Adam Pulcher.
At Adam Pulcher, that's right. All those are in the description below. So join us there or wherever you listen to podcasts. We are also a podcast as well. But YouTube is our baby. Is our baby.
Is our main baby.
That's right. All right. We've been talking about doing this scene for a while.
Yes.
We've done a handful of P.T. Anderson scenes, most famously Boogie Nights.
Yes.
One of our most viewed episodes. But this is just one of those scenes. And to me, it's got to be one of the best P.T. Anderson movies, just for my liking.
I agree with that.
As far as just the quality of filmmaking here, it's as equal to There Will Be Blood, if you ask me. It's it's obviously a lot more nautical. As being a Navy man, and he sneaks onto this boat, and
it's also funny that this is like one of the first big movies that Phoenix did after his whole weird I'm gonna be a rapper, grow my big beard out, fake thing,
fake documentary.
Yeah, where people were really like, oh yeah, he's gone, man, he's fallen off the wagon. Yeah. This was one of his first films back, and I think you're just like, oh, he's fine. Yeah, he's a really good actor still.
Yeah. And honestly, if we're being honest, the thing that makes this scene so special is watching these two act together in two men at a table, going at it.
Well, and obviously a lot was made at the time of P.T. Anderson. The film stock that he used, the kind of camera that he used, right? All these
Gorgeous
things.
Shots
and
here.
you can see this here, the close-ups, we are so close. We are looking at pores in Hoffman's nose, right? I mean, and the richness of that film grain is amazing. And obviously this is... the character of the Master of Lancaster Dodd is very much a fictionalized version of Scientologist and L. Ron Hubbard. And, in L. Ron Hubbard's early life, when he was sort of building up his religion, his pseudo-religion, they had a version of this same thing that happens in this scene was called auditing, right? And they had this device that were these little cans that people had to sort of hold up to their head.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a cultish thing.
But it's also pseudo psychiatry, right? Even though Scientologists hate psychiatry, but you're but isn't this sort of you're also doing a weird...
Yeah, there's cellular levels and pre-birth, and man is not an animal.
Right, right.
And all of this stuff. And he's just kind of been observing, just to get some pretext before the scene, PTSD, World War II vet,
raging alcoholic.
Drunken sailor. Raging out, serious drinking problem.
I mean, is it me, or is Joaquin Phoenix doing a serious version of Popeye in this movie? Do you know what I mean, though? He somehow is doing a palsy-faced, kind of a Popeye. But it works. It's if Popeye was a real character, and instead of spinach, he'd drink,
paint thinner.
Drink paint thinner and
or whatever his concoction is.
Isn't it made out of the fuel in the boat?
It's something,
But I feel he's kind of a serious Popeye.
That's fucking funny,
right?
I've never heard that.
Because through the whole thing, he talks like that. Yeah, but it's serious.
Dark
it's not
version of Popeye.
There's nothing comedic about it, other than my observation, I guess.
One thing I'll say before we get into just the nitty gritty of the scene and the questions he's asking him, and just the acting and just the camera work, and oh my gosh, a few scenes before this, we see his Lancaster's daughter Elizabeth and Clark, who I believe is Rami Malek in this movie. They get married on the boat.
That's
and
right.
He has a kind of a speech. He loves to control a room in this movie, and he's a great speaker. But he has a speech where he talks about there's this dragon metaphor and wrestling the dragon and he wants to put a leash on the dragon and rein it in and everything. And Freddy's inspired something. He sees something in Lancaster sees something in Freddy.
Yes.
And it could be what a horrible person he is, the things he does, the way he acts. And he sees Freddy as he can save him, right? He wants to include him. And Freddy, he finds some kind of community here, which he's never had, and so he doesn't even know how to act with this. They're going around, and obviously he
wants to impress him. Like Freddy, there's something that Freddy wants to impress in Lancaster. I think Lancaster is probably the smartest person.
Much more after this scene.
That's well, and even to this scene of like wanting to be a part of this, right? Of like,
it's true, but he still has his natural inhibitions, and he goes and tries to listen with everyone in the other room, and he just asks the girl if she wants to fuck.
Yeah.
Instead, so he has other things in mind. But after this processing scene, and he says it's informal processing.
Yeah.
But after this scene, Freddy changes kind of how loyal he is to Lancaster.
It's also interesting because when you mention the dragon metaphor,
but the dragon is Freddy.
Well, and what I was going to say is that it's like, you think of, I mean, it's different in a lot of ways, but the same sort of hubris of a quote unquote like educated man looking fascinatedly at somebody like a Freddy reminds me of something like Barton Fink, right? Where it's like, oh, well, this fascinates me and I think I can understand it, right? And I think I can do something with it. And obviously there's different themes happening in The Master, but there's something really similar about like the sort of hubris of a character like Lancaster having this idea of like, you fascinate me, and the other character not realizing that might be insulting, right? Or that they should be insulted. But yeah, I don't
think he's that smart.
No, I don't think so either. And I think that creates something really impressive. The other thing I would say that's really impressive about this scene,
the two greatest actors of a generation playing off each other.
Not just that. Obviously, there's that, and that's most of this whole movie.
Sure.
But this scene in particular is that Hoffman, who more often than not, when he's really swinging for the fences, he's doing something like the breakdown in the car in Before the Devil Knows You Dead, right? Something like that. Where you're like
the fucking idiot.
Yeah, the chops, right? The chops. I mean, obviously, that's not Before the Devil Knows You Dead.
I know it's not. That's Boogie Nights. But that's a scene where he goes deep.
Where he goes deep. Here, he is doing the heavy lifting for Phoenix. He's letting Phoenix go deep.
Yeah.
And he is
two character actors
in this character of doing what a processor does, which is you keep directing the question. You keep directing. We've got to start over. We're starting over.
Yep.
We're starting
over. Don't blink. Or we're starting from the beginning. Are you worthy? Are you? What are your secrets?
It's such a different thing to have as somebody as strong of an actor as Hoffman do. And so seeing those two dualities, these guys together, is like, that's what makes it so cool.
It's true. And then plus the intensity, the passion behind it, like he's kind of silly at first and not being honest.
He's a silly animal.
But by the end, he breaks into something. Right? He breaks into something. And I think we also need to mention this is this movie or this scene is probably a solid 15 minutes of them talking. Now we do get kind of this dreamlike break of Freddy remembering this girl that he was supposed to come back to after the war.
Yeah.
And we don't know how real it is. We don't know because watching it, the girl's doing everything that he wants.
Yep.
Right? She's like, I've missed you. I've thought about you. Where have you been? All this stuff. And it's just kind of like this long lost love thing. But is that in his crazy head, or is that something that actually really happened? And the war changed him that much that he's trying to chase that old version of himself.
I think
he seems kind of like the same guy in the scene.
But
then we come back to the processing and get deeper. But go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that's such an interesting theory that it's a false memory or it's an embellished memory, because in the beginning of that whole sequence, he's giving false answers, and he's really good at giving false answers, and you're like, that's because he's been lying to himself for so long about what his reality actually is.
Which shows the importance of repeating it. Let's say it again. Say it again. Do your past failures bother you?
Yeah.
Is your behavior erratic?
And
he's joking. Are you often consumed by envy? Are you unpredictable?
Are you concerned that God will punish you? I think was one of them.
And then, and then he blinks, and then he farts. And then he says, "Silly animal."
Yeah.
And but
and it's not just silly animal. It's also this idea where he's like, Lancaster is so erudite and so educated as a man that he's above this, where in almost this like Christ-like way, he says to Freddy, he goes, "It's okay. It's all right to be a silly animal. We are all silly animals."
But to go back to before, the beliefs of man is not an animal. We're not part of the animal kingdom.
Right.
He does, like you said, he's above it. He sees Freddy as the animal.
Yeah.
He's not the animal.
Right.
Yes.
But it's like this weird, it's like this, very walking on water-esque aspect to that character.
It's true, and he does stop it after that first scene. He's like, "I think we're done." He's like, "That's it?" He's like, "No, ask me again," and he wants to keep going. God, I miss Phillip Seymour Hoffman.
I know
so much that we.
And then, my God, how old do you think he was in this scene?
Maybe 50.
If he might have been younger than we are now. He was such a chameleon. Looking at him there, I'm like, he looks like he's like 65. And he's like, you're like, there's no, oh God, I miss him so much.
Absolutely. Just a small tangent, RIP. But then we get into the real test, right? Yep. It gets more, we get the more serious questions, have you ever had sex with someone in your family? And we find out, he's had sex with his aunt.
That's a fucking question in the processing. And you do wonder, I mean, it is because we don't see a lot of the other processing happen anywhere else in this movie to anyone else. You're like, are those the questions or are those Freddy's questions?
For Freddy,
you know what I mean? Like, that's
absolutely
the difference.
No,
like,
I think it is, and that's why this is such a challenge. He blinks. It's back to the beginning. Have you ever killed anyone? Where's your mom? Where's your dad? All of these swings of emotion, and he starts crying. And man, that acting. It's just like Phoenix in that moment.
The vein really growing on his forehead.
I mean, these are the kind of actors you want to see. Like, his performance is just insane.
And our camera doesn't waver. Our camera stops. It sits on,
of course,
on Phoenix's face that whole time.
And he starts being more honest.
Yeah.
Right. We start getting the real thing. We get into the scene of the girl, best girl he's ever met, and all that stuff, and going back to her, and how do you feel? Are you a communist? You're the bravest boy I ever met.
Yeah. Well, this whole idea of why didn't you go back? I don't know.
Tear him down and then bring him back up.
Why didn't you go back? I don't know. Yes, you do. Why didn't you go back? I don't know. Yes, you do. She was the love of your life. She was the one you were going to go back to. Why didn't you go back? And it keeps going deeper and deeper. And the way that rug is pulled out underneath us, what I wrote down was like, it's a masterclass of a dialogue scene between two characters. Mm-hmm. One who desperately wants to please the other one and is curious. Like, Freddy is like, you see him becoming curious about why he is so damaged. Mm-hmm. He goes from being like, I can beat your test, doctor, kind of a thing in the first half, to seeking like the answer within himself of like, yeah, I am horribly fucked up. Here's the thing, right? And so that's one side. And then the other is a character who's fascinated by this silly animal, right? And wants to see how far he can take this.
Yeah.
Now, the questions I had in that moment that make you think of...
He likes his drink too, by the way.
Yes.
The poison.
Does he actually want to help Freddy? Or two, does he just want to prove that he's right, that he knows how to crack open the human psyche? And you don't know which it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think the movie leaves that an open question by the end of the film.
Yeah, there's no solution at the end of the scene or anything. Mm-mm. And obviously we're talking about other aspects, but just what it means inside of the movie.
Yeah, it's like you don't know because Lancaster is a smug character. And even though he sometimes seems warm, he's very smug because he's like, well, of course I have the answers.
He's almost hypnotizing him almost.
Oh, totally.
Right?
Totally,
like putting him under his spell or whatever it is and really pushing him past that. But yeah, truly love this fucking movie. It's so good. And this scene, I was trying to think, is there another scene where two heavy hitters like this are together, just them? And the only thing I've tried to think of something to compare it to, and the only thing I could think of was Pacino and De Niro in Heat.
There's also the amazing one that's also Hoffman again and Meryl Streep in Doubt.
Sure.
That one's pretty amazing with that argument, that fight between the two of them. But again, yeah, you're right. There's not. I mean, I think there are some if we sat down and thought about it.
If we thought about it more.
But something like this where it's like it isn't a fight and it isn't a confrontation.
Yeah.
It is one character really serving the other one up to go through this moment. It's super unique.
It actually sounds a lot like Heat if you think about what that scene in Heat is about.
That is really true.
And Pacino's.
Well, I got Born to Lose tattooed on my chest.
And Pacino's going through his third marriage and all this stuff. And so they're analyzing their lives in that one too. So pretty interesting to think about. But regardless, they have any connection. I was just trying to compare something close to.
If you can think of any, please comment below.
Leave them in the comments. But what a fascinating scene! Just. You could watch it just for the acting, not knowing anything about the movie, and you would be encapsulated. And that's really what we're trying to do with this segment, is just find those scenes in film history that we can really examine and that stand out on their own.
Yeah,
and it's been really fun to do. So please join us. Follow us on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you find podcasts or listen to podcasts. You can follow me on Letterboxd at Adam Pulcher. Everything should be in the description below. Appreciate you guys following along. Join us next week. We're going to do our third installment of our Peter Greenaway Festival with the cook, the thief, the wife, and his lover.
Yep.
So join us for that, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, you guys.